Hey, Shrike here. So I've been playing the Black Beacon beta for a few hours now, and I want to let you and the devs know my initial thoughts. I'll save my full review for release, of course, since this is only a beta and there's bound to be issues, as well as the fact that anything in it is subject to change. But without further ado, let's get into it, starting with what I believe to be objectively good and bad. Conscious decisions the devs made that I think were inspired or mistakes. These won't be opinions, and they won't include bugs, which obviously are never intended. The good. The sign-in event that over the course of 7 days will give the player 20 pulls, 10 standard and 10 limited. It's a super easy way to please all players. I don't get why all gachas don't do it. This was a worry of mine playing Sword of Convaleria, another game by XD, wherein they developed a reputation for stinginess. And having soft pity at 40 and hard at 70 is also a great choice, as well as giving the player a 5-star selector at 30 pulls on the beginner banner. The bad. I don't know what causes this, and maybe it is a bug. I can't imagine it being intentional, but just in case, the fact that the app closes completely when you leave to respond to a text or something frequently done on a mobile phone. And worse yet, if you were in the middle or even at the end of a stage, you will have to replay the entire thing. This is just plain awful, and is actually a pet peeve of mine. I can't count the amount of times I've been playing a game only for it to send me an email or text to put a code in, and so I go to get that code by leaving the app. And it closes, making that code useless now. It makes it nearly impossible to retrieve the code and put it in those cases. Another one on this list is not having a PC client. I understand it's on their radar, but it should be much farther up on their list of priorities. This is all I'll put in objectively, since it's hard to find things that don't touch on opinion at all. Now we'll move on to what I believe was subjectively good or bad. The good. The combat was difficult, but not Souls-like. Some fights were hard for me, but a more seasoned action combat player probably wouldn't have had a hard time. I think it's a good balance, and it forces us to learn the combat mechanics and skill sets of our units. The Egyptian theme I thought was neat, not something you see every day, and the darker tone aesthetically and story-wise was refreshing. I always like a darker narrative. And for some reason I love Zero's voice. I think it's an Australian accent, but whatever it is, I like it. Also the fact that we're met with immediate babes in the form of Nana and Viola upon opening our eyes is always a plus. Cliché, but who doesn't love it? The subjectively bad now. This is the big one. I'm not a fan of the top-down isometric view, but I know many others are, that's why it's on this list instead of the first one. Along those lines, I don't like the periodic first-person view we have to enter. It's jarring and immersion-breaking. The combat takes place almost constantly near edges or cliffs, but we can neither jump or fall off those cliffs, nor can we push enemies off, even though parts of our character's kits include a push mechanic. The user interface is one of the worst I have ever seen. Maybe on par with Ash Echo's, but maybe even worse. I can't tell what is a button and what isn't. I can't tell what will take me where, and there are 2 different buttons that take me to the same place. The banners. I don't like how anomaly or elemental effects are utilized here. It's unique, but I'm not a fan. You need to build them up over time. For instance, continuing to attack with a fire character will eventually cause a burn effect once it's built up enough, but it takes time to build up. Perhaps it's a way of combating the quick swap technique. I know I said I liked Zero's voice, but that's mainly just the accent. Her voice, as well as the rest of the cast, sound robotic. This may be due to the writer, the voice director, or the voice actors themselves, who knows, but it very clearly sounds like they're reading from a script. And trust me, I should know. And lastly, anyone logging into the game at least 3 times has already gotten tired of Zero's introduction line. They need to add a few more for variety or just shorten this one. It's so long. So long. So long. Overall, I've had fun playing Black Beacon. Despite hating playing games on mobile, the action combat was easy to pick up, the upgrading system was intuitive, and the story was engaging. But I really think they need to address the user interface and the lack of a PC client. The rest are nitpicks that I could take or leave, but those are the big ones. Keep an eye on this game, and bear in mind, like I said, anything you've seen or heard here is subject to change on release. But I think that the bones of this game are solid. That's all. I'm gonna fly. See you in the next one. Bye.